everybody, and welcome back to the Colonelcast. I am your host, Purple Colonel, and with me today is ERICH McCoy.
Yo. Very excited to be talking about a wild and crazy movie that I saw just a couple days ago.
Yeah, I saw it just last night, and I, went to bed thinking about it the whole time. It was a wild time. And
you had dreams of Megalon and building a better future?
Yeah, dreams of a greater world that I hope one day I get to see. Yeah, so we're talking about Megalopolis, the brand new, possibly final Francis Ford Coppola film. My first Francis Ford Coppola film, which probably not recommended.
You've never
to start.
seen The Godfathers?
No,
You've never seen...
I have not. Or Apocalypse Now, or...
Apocalypse Now? Any of his, classics?
That's actually... I have seen one. I've seen Captain EO at the at Disneyland, the Michael Jackson thing, yeah.
Okay, I guess that technically counts.
It counts. It's in there. It's on Letterboxd. It's real.
Wow.
And we'll never forget about it.
You are going to be blown away by his other movies then, because this would not suggest anything about his filmography for the most part.
Okay, well that's good to hear. I mean, I know, I went to see it with my uncle, and he told me that Godfather 2 was his favorite movie, period, or second favorite movie
of all time.
Yeah, and it's and it's he did not enjoy this one, but I really did, honestly. I thought this was a fantastic movie. I gave it a full 5 stars. I loved it so much.
Full 5, okay.
Yeah.
I gave it 4 stars just for the record, but
yeah.
I think that this movie is someone who has been thinking about this in some way for the last 40 years, let's say. Maybe more than that, maybe 50 years, because maybe he started thinking about it around 1970s. And sometimes when you have an idea in your brain for that long, you kind of stop caring about how certain things are portrayed, as long as you're getting other things on screen the way you want it to be. So it's for me, there are bits of this movie that I honestly could not explain to you. Very simple plot things, like what Megalon is, or how Adam Driver, the Caesar Catalina character, even discovered it or figured out how it works or is using this in any way. But you kind of just end up picking it up and intuiting it, and you kind of you would literally either have to go along with it or the movie just breaks. You just can't consider that at all.
Yeah, I get what you mean though. It's there's a lot of there's a lot of shorthand, Megalon. You just accept it. You just have to go with it. Otherwise, the movie doesn't happen or work. It doesn't really work either way, I guess. But it's yeah. There's I don't know. It was just a bizarre experience to watch because, okay, the reason I would recommend everyone in the whole world watch this is mostly just to see how insane that it gets, because when people are talking about it and stuff, they can't do it justice unless you're actually watching the movie, how unhinged and ridiculous it is. And it's just it does not, the plot, there are characters who appear and have a big important scene and then they're just off of the movie forever.
They're just gone. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or a character is kind of minorly introduced and then is minorly killed off in a flashback scene that doesn't actually mean anything.
There's plot points that are just dropped. I don't know. There's a whole bit in the whole first act leads up to a scene that just sort of happens and then it's over and no one refers to it again for the rest of the movie. And it establishes he's being betrayed, but it's the whole scandal and stuff where he's framed for having sex with a minor with a photoshopped image.
Yeah, but he's found innocent, right?
He is.
I think that's a lot of what this movie is just kind of they will bring their slings and arrows against you. They will marshal all of the powers against your brilliance, and yet you will win the day at the end. They will have to admit that you did great works.
That's true, but that the girl that he's allegedly sleeping with is not back in the movie at all after that, and that whole plot point, they don't really reference it directly again. It does still build toward how all the people distrust him and all this stuff, but it's it's never referenced specifically again, which makes me wonder like how that works in the script, or if the script's there, if it's done, or what exactly is going on.
Yeah, it sounds like there have been several versions of the script through the years, and there's like wildly different. Like there's a version of this movie that almost entirely focuses on, or at least half of it completely focuses on that statutory rape accusation thing and trying to clear his name and stuff like that. Like that is kind of like a small part of this overall movie that we saw, but like there's other scripts that it's like half the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I know he worked on this on and off for so long. There was a time when he was getting really back into it around like 2000, and then 9/11 happened, and he canceled it again, which is like, just, it's always fun when you hear stories like that, when it's like, oh yeah, this major historical event put this movie off another 20 years, but now it's back.
I think I heard that at one point, instead of a Russian satellite crashing and partially destroying part of the city, it was going to be 9/11. Like that event was going to be a terrorist attack that like compromised the city in such a way.
That tracks crazy. And stuff, because the satellite is set up technically, it's in the sky in some shots, but then it just sort of happens, and that's another thing, like,
and then it's kind of just dealt with. It just kind of like happens and it's over, and
it happens.
It's not really built. Yeah.
Adam Driver talks to the press as played by someone in the movie theater, which it wasn't the case in my theater, unfortunately. We did not get the guy come up with his microphone either. Yeah, I really wish I did. That would have been truly amazing. But it's because the screen shrinks and everything, so that Adam Driver is like facing him and on the level. Eye line. Yeah, right. It's so silly watching it, and the screen just shrinks for this one scene, and then it's over. Which it's still, it's like a low point, I guess, for the city and stuff. You can thematically work it out, but it's very strange. And then that whole plot point, like, no one mentions it again. You can understand how it would affect the narrative, because like, oh, people are more desperate now, tensions are rising, but it's never like mentioned directly that like, yeah, nuclear fucking satellite hit the whole city and blew things up. It's just done. Right. And it's like I guess what we're meant to believe is that this destruction of part of the city kind of gives Adam Driver like more ability to make more of Megalopolis, or like just take more control of the city, is what I'd assume. I think so, yeah, because I mean, yeah, it's sort of, we never see, there's no scenes to establish, but then it also like, just infuriates other people who don't want him to be able to do that. Yeah, but I mean, there's no scene where it's like, oh, here's me building the Megalopolis girders and erecting the buildings, or using like a magic wand to conduct it around, or any of that. It's just sort of in one scene, it's like not there, and then I guess at some indeterminate point after that disaster, then like suddenly Central Park is taken over by this big flower world. Which I love the way that's all the buildings are flowers. It's all bioorganic material. Yeah, it's the perfect. It's a miracle thing. It fixes his face at one point. He gets shot, and then he's fixed by that. They put it in his brain, and he gets shot in the face by a 12-year-old child assassin. Yeah, which I love that scene. Honestly, it was sort of because the kid seems like sincere and nervous to start with. Honestly, it was a pretty good performance by him, I think. It's a shocking moment, and it is. You don't really know what is going to happen from that point on, because Caesar is kind of the main character of the thing. So, I mean, I think it would be not strange to just kill off your main character within this movie, where it seems like it just flits between characters so seamlessly and as if nothing strange is happening, because like we have like long moments where it's mostly just Shia LaBeouf's character Claudio, I think, like scheming and setting things up to sabotage Caesar Catalina. What do you think of Shia LaBeouf in this movie? He's in drag for a lot of it. Yeah, he's in drag for the first act. I don't know why. That confused me, actually, because I'm bad with faces, and I didn't know that was Shia LaBeouf going in or anything, so I just thought that was a different character for all of those scenes. I didn't realize that was him while I was watching the movie. But, yeah, he's sort of... outside of the drag part, he's sort of doing a Trump thing a lot of the time. Although I don't think the Trump stuff is necessarily in the script. It's more so just in the framing of it all and stuff.
The
and
art design, and I was gonna say there's a couple where they're wearing red hats that I feel like I picked up on.
There was like a "Make New Rome Great Again" sign at one point.
Yeah. And there's an SPQR where the Q is big and like has patriotic bold to it.
Yeah. And that's like our main character Caesar does meet him once or twice, and he's trying to he's doing the Trump thing, right? Because he's trying to take over the city with his he's very populist with his messaging. He's getting all the poor people on his side and stuff to help him take power.
He's literally paying them. Yeah, right.
He's
handing out money.
Yeah, paying off fucking signed $100 bills or whatever.
Right.
And there's he's followed around by like a Nazi character who I guess represents the alt-right. He's got like the black sun on his head.
I say he literally has the symbol on his forehead. Like the amount of like basic symbolism that's at play here. There's like a tree root that is a swastika.
Yeah, you see, he gets up on the Nazi tree. I don't know what that's. I guess it means he's a Nazi.
I know. Like, this movie has such like blatant, crazy symbolism that you can't kind of believe what you're seeing at any point in it.
I mean, Hitler shows up himself in the flesh at one point in like archival footage of World War II and stuff.
Like there is literally footage of 9/11 that has never come out before this point because he had hired some cinematographer or something to like go around New York and like film footage, and it was right around 9/11 when it was happening. So the same guy who was filming all this like footage got tons of 9/11 photography, and that was used in the movie. It's truly insane.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know that. I just assumed it was like because I only recognized one 9/11 shot, and I thought it was just like taken from a documentary or something. But that's really interesting that it's like it's new footage and stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a podcast called Going Rogue that details a lot of this stuff about the production of Megalopolis, and it's truly fascinating how long it's been in development for, and then how much of that has seeped into the production of the movie.
Okay, I should really check that out. I want to get there's like a documentary in the works or something. The mega doc.
I think I did hear about that. Yeah,
I want to see that.
Right.
I want to know about like everything I can about this movie. Honestly,
if I were Francis Ford Coppola, I would attach myself to that as much as possible and attempt to get money from it because he's going to need it based on what this movie is making.
Well, I don't know what his net worth is like, but this movie was people are saying like 136 million and stuff to make, which is it seems like an absurd amount of money for this insane movie.
You've got that, and then you've got whatever marketing materials that he had to pay for.
Yeah.
Like, I think all of that stuff he kind of had to do on his own. I think he did get some kind of distribution deal.
Yeah, it was like Lionsgate or something picked it up. And I hope they paid for at least some of the ads and stuff and didn't leave him to pay for all of it. But yeah.
But this is very much... And so, like, his vision for this movie was going to be much larger, where he probably wanted there to be more of a audience engagement thing, because he was trying to talk to the, like, Amazon and Apple and like all of these like tech giants. He wanted you to be able to talk to Adam Driver in the movie. That's what that thing, like, with him talking with the one question was about. He wanted to like film a bunch of answers, and then what you would do was you would ask a question to Adam Driver, and then it would kind of intelligently figure out what the best kind of answer within the like array of canned answers they had filmed, what would be the best answer to that thing that you asked them. Like, okay. I guess it would interface with Alexa or interface with Siri somehow to like, let you ask a question to this fictional character.
All right. Yeah, it's just like an absurd kind of idea, and I'm so glad that he went for it, and at least like some amount of that is left in the movie, honestly. It's
right. Some vestige of it is there. And then this also ties into his like idea of live cinema theater kind of thing, where he wanted to be able to shoot what is essentially a stage play like it as a movie, and then transmit it live and make it so that it's like a seamless, transformative thing. And he's been trying to work on this since, like, once again, the 70s. This is the thing with Francis Ford Coppola. He has mastered the, like, media of filmmaking when he was like a 30-year-old. So ever since that point, he's been trying to, like, stretch it and find new things to explore within this media. And I think a lot of the time when that happens, the ideas are just not doable or crazy or just not worth exploring. I think a lot of his ideas about how cinema should change maybe aren't exactly right anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you could get a lot of things going if you got the right people. Like, if Amazon was on board for all these things, I feel like it could be possible. But it's, you know, all the companies involved have to look at this from, like, an investment perspective too. And this movie is flopping really badly. It's made about $7 million on that $130 million budget. So it is, yeah, probably a bad idea from a studio perspective. But I'm just. Mm-hmm. Yeah, from, like, an artistic view, though, I think it's just fantastic that it's here at all, honestly.
Yeah, I'm honestly considering trying to see it again in theaters before it leaves. I got to see it on IMAX, which I was happy to do. Yeah. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that unless Joker 2 is, like, such a huge disaster that they somehow, like, take it out and are like, well, we'd rather just run Megalopolis.
Yeah. It's possible, like, honestly.
So what is interesting about this movie is that I really like bad movies. I really like inexplicable decisions, and I like actors taking huge swings, and I love, like, crazy vibe shifts within the movie. And that this movie, Megalopolis, has a lot of that in it. So, like, a lot of people might be turned off by that, but while I'm watching this movie, I'm just more and more engaged in figuring out why it's like this. What is going on? What is the purpose of this? And honestly, if I'm engaged with art, if I'm, like, considering it and thinking about it and, like, wondering what is going to happen next, that's worthwhile. That's art. That's yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you compared it in your Letterboxd review I saw to a Neil Breen movie, and I read your review before I saw the movie, and I just didn't know how true that would be. It's like. Because it even ends with, like, the big crazy speech at the end and stuff. It's like almost beat for beat, like it could be a Neil Breen movie, but it has this giant budget with Adam Driver in it and stuff. It's crazy.
There's several elements of it that are so like a Neil Breen picture, which is like a visionary figure who has, like, information that is transformative or will make the world a better place, is trying to convince the public or convince everyone that the world has to be changed irrevocably. Like, in the movie, Frank Cicero is the mayor of New Rome, and Caesar Catalina is trying to convince him, I should have this section of New Rome, to make Megalopolis, make this, like, huge, amazing new city, rethink how people live, rethink how things happen. And there's long monologues where Adam Driver is like, we need to just be allowed to discuss things, like, we should be able to debate how our world is going to, like, and so that's a lot of what the movie is. It's just him monologuing about how we should all be allowed to talk about these things. And that is very Neil Breen in its execution. There's, like, a part where he gets shot in the face and then he's all bandaged up, and there's scenes like that in Neil Breen things. Like, it is, like, I feel like it's a horseshoe theory kind of thing where it's like Neil Breen is this out there, like, kind of self-funded, makes his own things, but has absolute creative control. And he's on the very D tier list. And now we've got Francis Ford Coppola, who's, like, an A tier, one of the best directors ever, who also self-funds this thing, has crazy ideas about it, and they've, like, met in the middle now, where it's like they're essentially, like, the same person, just on different scales of creation. It's wild.
That's true. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's just it's got to be just, like, something in these people's brains that makes them think, like, yeah, we can. I just want to get this message out there any way I can and make something as just make it however I can. With Neil Breen's situation, it's like he's going to make it on green screen. He's going to use as many stock photos as he can find. Mm-hmm. But for Coppola, he can get all these actors and he can get a crew and supposedly smoke weed on the set.
VFX crew and
do whatever he wants and just get it done and get it finished. And
Purple.
I think that's
Do you know about the silverfish?
I don't think so. No.
So around the time I think when he was making Apocalypse Now, possibly, or one of his other movies, he had this idea of like, what if I made a mobile video village essentially that I could direct the movie, not like standing next to the actors, not like interacting with them like directly, but like I am watching every single part of production that's being streamed to me, and then I can drive around wherever I want to go and kind of do that. So like he pioneers the like very George Lucas idea of, I don't really have to interact with the actors. I'm like overseeing this huge technical production. Okay. And so like he's got this mobile video village called the Silverfish that he's just like driving around like trying to figure out several things while the movie is being made. And it sounds kind of insane. He rented a giant hotel because this was shot in Atlanta, and because there's like tons of tax incentives for filming there. And so like he's bought this hotel out essentially and has completely changed it in order to like be his production studio basically. And he's like running this crazy production where he's firing the VFX crew because they're not giving him what he wants, or they're saying it's going to be too expensive. And so like some of the effects are kind of shoddy in this movie. All the stuff with like the glowing gold look of the Megalon stuff is very funny to me. There's sequences where characters get into these like glass balls that are like their transportation. They like
remind
bounce
me of
away.
They remind me of Jurassic World. Like it's like a big stupid theme park idea to have these balls that you get in, and that's how you.
It does seem like he just saw that thing from Jurassic World and was like, "Yeah, that's what will be in my movie."
Yeah, like, and that's the future. That's the vision of a perfect future world. It's that, and it's like those. Right. The people movers. It's fantastic.
His idea for like transportation is just people get on this like moving sidewalk thing, and that's how people move. So you've got amazing actresses like Catherine Hunter just like slowly moving forward on this golden people mover thing, and that's the perfect future. Like that's the ideal.
Yeah, that's what we should all strive for.
Yeah, it's
and
it's wild. Okay, so
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
All the only things we see of Megalopolis of like what it can do for people are like those two things, and also at one point the love interest character, I forget her name, I think Lydia. She's
Julia.
Julia. She's like in like she's in like a simulation in her brain of it or something that she gets from walking through a little model, and she. At one point it starts raining, and then like the leaves come up from the side of the thing, and it shields her. And that's like on-demand umbrellas, the Jurassic World ball, and a people mover, and those are the future. Those are the three pieces of technology.
It comes across as like, you know, like every time there's a new car, there's like a crazy car concept that comes about. Like it just feels like it's just concept art, and that's all that they ever thought about for it, is just like, yeah, we have. And like at one point they're in his like flower home, where it's like the home is just a big flower that they're in, and like there's not much beyond that. But I guess it's just the idea that like it will just keep growing and expanding as you need it, and you can like encourage the flower to grow bigger if you're gonna have a bigger family or something. I have no idea how it's supposed to work. They really don't spend a whole lot of time talking about how it's like. The movie is entirely about talking about the idea of making a new society and less about actually making that society or how that's going to work. It's like we should be able to talk about making a new society. The actual society making, or the actual like reshaping of society, that's not of interest. It's the talking about making a new society that he's so clearly interested in.
Yeah, and there's I think it's a lot of it's the struggle between like the people who want to have a great conversation about the future and the people who will take advantage of people who like don't really want to have that conversation, but they just sort of want to prop up whatever idea they think is gonna, whatever like easy quick idea. And then there's like the guy who's like, no, we should keep it as it is now, and that's Gus Fring's character is
right.
He's at the start of it, they're all like at a city planning meeting of some sort on scaffolding with like cat collars and journalists and stuff, and it's like, and he reveals like his plan is a big casino in the spot where Megalopolis will go. And that whole scene, I was waiting for him to like, oh, here, I'm going to pull off the curtain on my idea, and here's the big golden city. But that spot just never comes.
That does not happen.
He just quotes like Hamlet and stuff, and then they whisper to each other. Does
to be or not to be. He does that entire monologue of Hamlet's from Hamlet. And apparently what happened is that was a like acting game that they played on the day on the set. And then Francis Ford Coppola kind of just loved that Adam Driver came in and did that rather than like whatever the scene was actually supposed to be about or what was supposed to happen there. So like that happens a lot in this movie. I'm kind of just reusing things that were said in that Going Rogue podcast about this movie. But those acting games kind of come in throughout this movie when like all of the creators of Megalopolis are all kind of like climbing over each other. You have to like make a bridge that I guess someone can cross from one area to the other just by like walking on each other's bodies. That's a part of this movie. When Shia LaBeouf and all of his like cronies, he drops his hat and then he says, pick up my hat, and then the other guy has to say, pick up my hat, pick up my hat, pick up my hat. That's like an acting game. That's like a hierarchical like structure game that says like, I am the most important person, so you have to pick up my hat, then the next person gets to tell somebody else, and so on and so on and so on. So like all of these things kind of like worm their way into the movie, and I guess Francis Ford Coppola just fell in love with the conception of using these things and felt that they communicated the ideas of what he was trying to get across, or was so like interested that the actors were doing these things that he was just like, I just want to capture this. So like that is what makes this movie truly amazing, is that these just spur of the moment acting choices that I think do happen on sets. I guess depends on what kind of set you're running, but these kind of just explorations of what if I did this is kind of just kept in the movie. So it's kind of awful for any kind of like narrative flow or any kind of like trying to figure out what's going on sometimes, but like it is interesting to watch. It is like, why is this happening? What is the core of this? And sometimes the core of it is just the actor was trying something.
I was actually wondering about the hat bit in particular, because I was thinking in my head as I was watching, like, what kind of, is this like, oh, these people are gonna like follow his lead however they do? You know, there's parallels right now, like after Trump got shot at, there was like everyone in the whole party put on like an ear bandage for a night or two at the RNC and it's like, is this what they're going for? Like, but I guess if it's just that, then maybe that he thought that conveyed a message like that or something.
I think of it as the kind of like the man berates the woman berates the child berates the pet. Like I think of it as that kind of like hierarchical, like everyone above you is shitting on you, and then you then shit on everybody who's below you. Like, and like as funny as that is, and as like weird as that moment is in the movie, I kind of dig it. I kind of like get with that idea of just showcasing this thing for a couple seconds of these characters doing this thing. And I mean, Shia LaBeouf does not work for me sometimes in this movie. I don't care for Shia LaBeouf. A lot of it is because of the like abuse allegations against him, and it just seems like he's a bad guy. But in moments like that, I kind of like get what he's going for and can kind of get with it.
Yeah, it's I don't even, I hardly know how to like collect my thoughts on this thing. It's just, it's so Yeah.
Well, okay, so let's talk about Aubrey Plaza in the movie, who
Okay.
plays Wild Platinum, who is a
Yeah.
money bunny, so like media character who like talks about money moves within New Rome. She is incredibly over the top. She's definitely like, her character is a conniving, like plotting, and so like a lot of the movie is like her being devious, and like there's literal snake sound effects that are played while she's talking, and like it's just so on the nose, and I think she's playing it as good as it could possibly be played, because she just plays it with so much aplomb and so much like she's just going full ham with it. So whenever she's on screen, I think it's great, and she's living up to what the movie is presenting.
Yeah, and she has like a plan throughout the movie it's kind of stupid and simplistic. Like, she's gonna marry the guy, she's gonna marry the bank owner guy who is related to Shia LaBeouf's character. They're like, yeah, and so she's gonna get the bank fortune, and that's how and then she's gonna get with Adam Driver, and they're gonna own the banks and do Megalopolis and do whatever, and it's like her power grab to become like the biggest person in society. She wants like a power couple.
But what's wild is that Hamilton Crassus kind of seems okay with what Adam Driver is doing. Like, if there was he wasn't along with it, or he had to be convinced, or there was some like and that's one of the main, like, I'd say problems, but it's also kind of fascinating, is that there is nothing stopping in actuality any of the actions that Adam Driver wants to take, but he is so often just saying, why am I not able to do what I want to do? Should we be able to debate? Shouldn't we be able to? But like, there is literally nothing in his way for most of the movie. He's part of the design authority, which is some, like, I guess, federal government or some kind of like thing that allows him to, like, I don't know, that sees a decent amount of land and then make it into Megalopolis.
Yeah.
But like, Frank Cicero kind of just has a different idea for what to do. I don't think that there's anything keeping him from doing the stuff he wants, and like he's working on it as the movie progresses. So like, I don't know, like, it's just such a weird thing of like, you're doing it, you're in the process of doing it. He just wants everyone to agree with him, it feels like.
I guess so. It's implied that Frank is trying to do something to stop him. I'm not quite sure what exactly. I guess.
But I was gonna say, like, what is he doing? Like, what is actually being done to stop him?
He's strongly and sternly disagreeing whenever they meet each other, and I guess that's enough. That's enough of a roadblock here, because he's the mayor of the city. He's if he disagrees, then things don't happen.
Right.
I guess, but. Yeah, and so much of it is like very on the nose. There's the scene where they're driving through the poor part of town, and like all of the statues of these beautiful ideals are crumbling, and
before
Lady Liberty is like chained to the floor, and it's like, which
is a great image. Like, I mean, even if it's so on the nose, and even if it's so like ridiculous,
it is. I mean, it's infinitely better than like a character saying, there's no justice anymore. Like, it's so much cooler to see like this giant crazy fucking image, even if it doesn't come back in the movie. There's just it's like two walking living statues for the one scene, and then they're just sort of gone. They don't like come back at the end fully formed or anything, now that the society's set straight. It's like,
it's just to show you in that moment that like the ideals that we like hold, like Lady Justice, are crumbling and falling down.
Yeah,
there's so many great images in this movie that like even if you could like deny most of it, there are parts of it where it's just like, that's undeniably an amazing image. Like when the Russian satellite is falling, there's all of these like larger than life people that are flashing against the buildings.
All of these like shadows convulsing in horror color and death and stuff, and it's like they're It made me I don't know if it made me think of Pompeii for some reason. Just sort of the like horrible like ways that they're all contorted in their last moments here and stuff, and that's
right. Reminded me of Hiroshima, like where like people
they leave the shadows behind,
flashed upon the buildings. Right. And it's just like there's so many parts of it that are undeniable. Like no one can watch this movie and not be like, that's a stirring image. That's like something you've never seen before. And so like that in conjunction with all of the like mysterious, why are we watching this? What is going on? Like it's compelling. It's clearly the work of someone who's been thinking about this for a while and has wanted to get these images out, and then it's also just like, I let the actors do what they wanted to do on the day, and I found that so enlivening that I wanted to put that in the movie. Like, that synthesis of creativity and like it's just interesting to watch. I really don't care about the movie like as a story that holds up as its own thing. I think it's just interesting as a piece of art that I'm watching. But like, you can't say it's soulless. You can't say it's like this just useless thing that's happening. It's absolutely art.
Yeah, I mean, I would say outside of some of the CG, which looks like a car commercial or whatever, there's most of it is like beautiful, especially when he'll do things like there's a bit where Adam Driver's he's on drugs, he's doing terribly, and it cuts to him and there's like he's sort of shaking and stuff because he's on drugs, but there's people behind him and they're just doing the trick where like, oh, you can't see us because we're behind the guy and we're gonna put our hands up and wave them around, and it's like, and that works. The movements they're doing and it's like dance moves or something that they're doing, and it just conveys that sort of the like chaos of the whole moment so well and stuff, and it's great.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
There's a bit where there's like a projector set up over top of like 4 people, and they sort of move around to like they've got their bodies painted on so to show like a certain image and stuff, and then they move and they lay down a different way, and the dream is gone, and it's things like that are like really interesting ways to convey this information that are like never seen in other movies at all.
And so I think a lot of this, like, I would definitely recommend Bram Stoker's Dracula, the movie that Francis Ford Coppola made. That is a great execution of a lot of the ideas that are in this, where in Dracula there's a bunch of like scenes that are done practically with like different visual methods that are like about the history of cinema. It's like there's like shadow play, there's like puppetry, there's all these like different things that you're seeing that are accomplishing what he wants to do for the movie. I think that movie's maybe a much better like way to show those things than this movie is, but that same style of just like, I'm going to convey imagery to you, and it's not going to be like a normal way that these things would normally be shown. I'm going to use like dance or art or perspective or any of these things. So it's like, it's that capturing of what can I show you that you haven't seen before, and is at least in some way conveying an image to you. That just a lot of movies don't do that. So
yeah, I mean, this you compare this to like a Marvel movie. I did read that this is probably the source of a lot of the issues with the VFX team, is like he wanted it done in a very certain way, and they wanted to like approach it the same way they do like a Marvel movie, where it's very structured, everything's all set up beforehand, there's like very specific guides to work on and stuff, and that sort of does not work for something like this or anything made like this at all.
One of the things that was the problem here is that he wanted to use the volume, which is this like moving background that you can rig up so that the background will kind of like frame with where the actors are, where the camera is shooting the actors. So it's like an interactive background instead of like just using a flat green screen where you're just compositing the image.
Yeah, that's so like the Mandalorian thing where you sort of they make it in like Unreal Engine and stuff first, and
exactly. So like I think the problem was Francis Ford Coppola did not have a good enough idea beforehand of what he wanted. He liked to explore on the day of, what if I did this? What if I did that? So I think one of the problems with the VFX people was they were saying, in order to do this volume stuff, we have to like think about what it's going to be beforehand and create something that the actors will then be part of in that scene. I think he just wasn't so great at like telling them what was needed months and months ahead of time so that they could create that world for the actors to be in. So there's a couple of scenes where like the backgrounds are very shoddy because I think they just had to use like regular green screens, or they had to like just be like, well, we don't have a whole lot of money to do this, so it's just gonna be, but like that somehow adds to it for me because it reminds me of like bad rear projection from other like older movies and stuff like that.
Like
it's just wild. Like this, watching this movie is truly wild. So what do you think about his ability to stop time, which he does not use in any way?
this thing that is central that we have not mentioned yet 40 minutes into the podcast, it's he can stop the time. He says time stop, and then time stops, and some people are aware of it, and sometimes it freezes them and sometimes it doesn't. At the end of it, it freezes everyone but the baby, which
the baby
represents the future, I guess. It's a hopeful future, but it's a I don't know why he can stop time, and he never uses it. There's not, he doesn't use it to stop the crashing debris from the satellite. He doesn't use it to like stop himself from getting shot in the face. He can just do it, and there's a period of the movie where he can't do it anymore, and then he can again
get him back.
Yeah, from Julia's like help and stuff, and it's, I guess it's, they talk about like, artists want to have all the time in the world to do what they can and stuff, and it's like, I'm not sure exactly what it's trying to say, but it's
I feel like it's about the powers that a muse will give you. So like Julia is clearly like inspirational and helping him get over the loss of his wife, who was murdered mysteriously, and he was accused of the murder, but I guess he was cleared. So like Julia's role in this is as like Frank Cicero's daughter. She is a character that he can win over to his side and inspire him and make him like, I don't know, want to keep doing the creation that he's doing, even though there's really nothing stopping. Like,
okay,
that's the funny thing there. But like, I think it's kind of like the pure creative power that you have as someone who wants to like push their vision into the world would allow you to do something like stop time and like make your mark on the world in ways that others can't do anything about. Like they can't stop you, they can't change you. You are stopping time and doing this one thing. And he loses the power because there's so many people around him that are trying to like go against him or stop him, and he's doubting himself. So he doesn't have that creative force anymore. But she gives him that ability to see his own vision and like act on the world in the way he wants to do. So then he gets the power back. And then I guess when his daughter is born, or I don't know what gender the child is, but just like that power now lies in the future is what that's about. That's at least how I read it.
Yeah, that makes sense, I think. Yeah, that's do you think if he could, do you think Francis Ford Coppola would just like stop time and then like maybe like go around and get all the actors physically there and then just stop motion like a whole movie together by like freezing them in different spots or something? That would be maybe that's his dream of an ability to get his stuff
utopia.
Done.
And then so Lawrence Fishburne is both the narrator of the movie and then also the like driver / like he's personal like assistant fixer.
And he does great. His character's sort of superfluous. He doesn't do a whole lot. But he is good, and I like that he's.
But like it's the thing of just having Lawrence Fishburne there talking and saying these cool things like is enough. Like you kind of don't need him to do anything else. He's musing on things while the statues are falling all around him, and like each interstitial scene in the movie has its own like title card and like quote and stuff like that. And as long as Lawrence Fishburne is saying it, I'm kind of not questioning anything. He sounds cool.
I mean, yeah. What do you think of the dead wife subplot here?
So that's one of the things where I think I'd prefer, because they talk about it, because Frank Cicero is like, that's one of the things that he's offering him, is that if he leaves Julia alone, he will reveal that there wasn't evidence against him, that he killed his wife. Like there's some weird stuff. I think I would prefer in the movie if all of that stuff was just left to imagery rather than talking about it and using it as a plot point and all that stuff. Like I think that Julia discovering it and then realizing there's something deeper to him, that he's like motivated by his wife's death or whatever, like he's going to her like the bed where the bed and like she's there but she's not there actually, so like he still cares about her and still like reveres her in that way. So like I think all that stuff works better as imagery than it is a plot point where it's like he's trying to use this against Caesar to like, I don't know, make it so that he doesn't go with his daughter. Like I don't know, there's so many parts of this movie that I think just work better as just images that we're seeing on screen, and we can try to figure it out based on that, than it is kind of a lumpy plot point in a movie that kind of doesn't need that.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it does sort of impact the plot in some way. Like he's this is like his inspiration used to be his wife, and he has to get it now from Julia. But it's
right.
Yeah, and she's sort of the driving force. She like taught him to stop time, or taught him the Megalopolis or something. He taught him the secrets of Megalon, before she died or something, or like when she died, he discovered it, like in that moment.
Yeah, I think it was like her dying allowed him to like discover this. I don't know though, because like a lot of the stuff about Megalon is done in like newspaper headlines, I think, that come across the screen, and I honestly was not able to read those in time to like figure out what it was saying.
One of them said that she was found with like an insulin overdose, but then later in the movie they say she drove off a bridge. So I don't know.
Like I kind of wish for a lot of these I knew what the actual intent of the thing was, so I could better read it, because some things I'm just confused about, and that's why I want to see it again. Like I'm literally thinking about seeing this again rather than like seeing Joker 2 or something. So
I mean, I'd like to. It's just pour over every frame.
Right, it's just fascinating. Like I would definitely suggest you watch his other movies because they're much better than this. Okay. Just as narrative pieces that you can like take in and watch. So like, yeah, definitely Godfathers 1 and 2, Apocalypse Now, and Bram Stoker's Dracula. I know that people love The Conversation. I haven't seen The Conversation, but a lot of his filmography is some of the best movies ever made. So yeah, definitely watch that. But I mean,
I've got them on my list. Yeah, I gotta see all those eventually. I'll probably watch at least one or two. I want to watch Dracula. I think I'll watch that over the weekend here.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's a Dracula movie coming out in December. So
yeah, it's not the worst. That's Nosferatu. I got to watch all the other Nosferatus too. Then the Herzog one and everything. Well. Yeah. Yep. Mm-hmm. That'll be a very good one, I think, because that's Robert Eggers. He hasn't missed yet. Yep. So
exactly.
Yeah. I like that after he gets his face shot in this movie and he comes back with the Megalon, his face is glowing and stuff. It's glowing like a Phantom of the Opera mask almost on half of his face. And I mean, a lot of people I saw on Twitter were saying like they wish it stuck around for the whole movie. I don't know how distracting that would be, but I think it would be an insane choice, especially during his last like big speech monologue at the end of the movie that I guess convinces the whole world. Yeah, if he has this glowing, spinning face, it would be something.
I'm hard pressed to figure out, like, is that something that people are like just taking in stride, that he's using this like Megalon? Because like I think they like heal a dog or something with it beforehand just to show that it can.
They make a cast out of Megalon. Yeah, it's so weird because earlier in the movie, the two things he does with it before it literally brings him back from the dead and builds a city. Like before that, what he uses it for is to make a dress that can be like seen through on this like virgin character who has a big
hilarious because it's not impressive in any way. Basically,
like it's like a pointless as a parlor trick. And he there's a line where he just explains, it makes a whole bunch of cameras and they shoot out of the side of the dress and then they just project whatever they see, and that's it's not like a super good like see-through, like it's not like she put on like a green screen suit or something. It's like blurry and weird and it isn't all that impressive.
Here's the thing, like they mentioned in the podcast list too, it's like if that was done live as like a live effect that you were watching as like a theater thing, it would be impressive because you were watching it happen in real time. But in a movie where we've seen special effects for tons of stuff, it makes almost no impression whatsoever.
Yeah,
it's so funny.
Is that something they did on set? Like, did they project it like onto her outfit or something and like project the background on? Okay.
I don't know. But yeah, like if that was part of a live, and so like there's a bunch of effects in, if it were being done live, or you could imagine that somehow they had to find a way to do that live, it would be much more effective.
Yeah, absolutely would be. I mean, there's the whole Colosseum bit, like all of that is basically a circus kind of show and stuff, and that's I really, that stuff would be crazy to see live. Some of it, like it's yeah, just sort of these people wrestling and stuff, but like you also in another part of the stage or something, you have like Adam Driver doing his performance and stuff because it keeps cutting between them. That would be pretty cool. There's a moment like that in Phantom of the Opera where there's like a nice like calm kind of dance scene, and then he's like strangling a guy up in the rafters on the other half of the stage, and that's always fun. So that's yeah, it's I wish he was able to get this out with like $1 billion budget or something and just get exactly what he wanted.
No, right, because there's some clear parts where it's just not as good as it should be, or a little bit lacking. Like, maybe not $1 billion, but maybe like an extra 80 million.
Maybe, yeah. However much he needs, I wish he got, honestly, or however much he wanted, and it's yeah. They could have tightened up the ending where the movie just sort of he has his big speech, and I guess because the mayor's giving a competing speech, and he's like, "Oh well, what? Stop talking." He's incriminating himself, and then I guess he wasn't actually incriminating himself. He was being really, really persuasive to the point where the mayor like agrees to be his friend and stuff and let him go through with this idea, and it's. Yeah, and it just sort of ends. It doesn't feel like it has a really good resolution. There's no like fight scene really. There's like they wrap up the plot with Shia LaBeouf with the old guy. He shoots her. He shoots Well Platinum, and then he shoots him
in the chest and him in the ass. Yeah, twice.
And then that's the end of their plot line, because I mean she's dead,
I swear the tiniest bow and arrow I have ever seen.
It's a small like. I think it was just part of his Halloween costume, because he was Robin Hood, right? Yeah. For Saturnalia or whatever.
Right.
That was just his outfit, but it was also like lethal enough to kill, which
Yeah. So like John Voight in bed making a boner joke, and then revealing that it's a tiny bow and arrow that he has shooting both bad guys.
Yeah, and I love the choice that it's a bow and arrow. He doesn't pull out a gun and shoot her. He uses a very small bow and arrow, and he shoots it directly into like her heart and her spine at the same time, or something, like right in her chest, in like the most damaging spot possible to instantly kill her.
Yep, insta kill.
It's amazing, really, and he's happy to have like his legacy be like, I was the guy who funded Megalopolis, I guess.
I guess so. Yeah.
I mean, the city was already like the Megalopolis like construction thing was already basically done though, so I'm not sure what he's funding.
That's the thing. Like throughout a lot of this movie, it's like, why is any of this needed? Like, why is there? If he's got the design authority on his side, like Hamilton Crassus doesn't really see. Like, if they took over his funding and were withholding it from Caesar, and he needed that funding in order to continue, or like. Any of that stuff was in play in a major way that it was needed, but it's kind of not. It's just like, I don't know.
I think maybe it is, but they just don't spell it out very well. Because, I mean, there's the point where he gets his funds frozen, and he goes and he talks to them about it, and that's when his face is all glowy. And it's but it's
like, I kind of thought that was his personal funds, not his like. Yeah. Because like, is he withholding funds from like the design authority? This like government.
Well, it's withheld out from his accounts. Maybe he's paying for Megalopolis out of pocket from his own personal like checking account.
Oh my god!
Who knows? Yeah,
it's interesting.
His mother, who hates him for most of the movie, she decides she likes him at the end as well.
Yeah.
It's her scenes are fantastic, where she's like he'll come in and he'll talk to her and stuff and be like, "Hey mom, how are you doing?" And
kissing she'll just be like, her hand
and she'll just be like, "Oh, I wish I had a girl. I hate you so much." Like she's so direct about it, about her seething hatred for him.
I have to imagine that a lot of this is just how Francis Ford Coppola's life has played out. Like a lot of the like stuff with his mother is just like, yeah, my mother always didn't like me, or like just like stuff with all these conniving people. I know that to a certain extent is like the cotillion conspiracy story from Roman history, but like so many of the like depictions of women in this movie are just so like outright, these people are awful.
In the first act, there's like a lot of debaucherous sexuality stuff. There's like the club. Why don't you go back to the club or whatever?
Go back to the club.
There's it opens with like a horrible like drug club, and there's lesbians kissing. I don't know if that's meant to be part of the debauchery. It's
that's societal decay right there.
Yeah.
Lesbians are kissing.
Yeah. There's like a fashion show where they're getting she's getting a pedicure at her fashion show. It's like the height of like money and wasted stuff on like these frivolous things, and it's But
right. And there's a lot of scenes where Claudio is being chased around by his two like sisters or something, and there's like so many scenes where they're just like they're fucking, like,
the news is like oh, here come the wealthy Claudios, and also by the way, they're fucking, they're incest fucking. Like the news guy is calling it out.
It's honestly so fucking funny.
It's really it's hilarious.
Yeah. It's like Jason Schwartzman's in this movie. He's like a character. Just so many like actors just having a great time with it. It seems like a fun time. I mean, people have said otherwise, but no, right. If you were one of the women that were groped by Francis Ford Coppola, it sounds like it wasn't a great time. But,
probably not the best. But
but you gotta give. He made his art.
He did. He got it done, and it's And one thing that I kind of want to talk about, I saw on Twitter yesterday, right after I saw the movie, I came home and I checked Twitter. And what I saw was this article about how studios, I wrote the quote, "Studios are assembling superfan focus groups to assess various materials for franchise projects to avoid social media backlash."
Insane.
And it's like,
so here's the stupid thing about this. Nothing they do will actually avoid any kind of backlash, because the stuff is all manufactured. It's all like years before something's released or months before something's released, they decide this one is going to, like, we're going to attack this no matter what. And it just seems like if there's anything they can object to, they will.
Yeah, like, so, I mean, people, like 90% of what I've seen about like Villeneuve wants to make a fucking Cleopatra movie, and like 90% of the discourse I've seen on it is, oh, Zendaya's in it. I hate it. It's going to be horrible because Zendaya's in it. And it's like, it's never going to fix it. They're never going to be able to fix the fact that people hate these things. And all they really should do is just let these people, like, let the artists in charge actually
make the thing they want to make.
Don't get like a group of fucking like Reddit superfans or whoever. Like, just don't do that. Can you imagine, like, if if Megalopolis had a group of, like, fans fucking breathing down Coppola's neck the whole time, talking, like, trying to get, like, the producers were like, you've got to change this because our fan focus group said this doesn't work. And
it's like, I hate that idea. I hate asking a creative person to change their stuff. Like, focus groups and like test screenings and all that stuff, that's a part of the process. I understand that, but like to make it specifically about fan groups and mollifying this group that just has just specious ideas about how any of this stuff should work, it is getting us to the lowest common denominator. Everything is a product, everything as just something to make someone clap for 30 seconds, and then like that's all that it accomplished. There's no eye to art. There's no eye to like making something that's interesting or compelling or will make you question what you're watching. It's just literally what will make people clap like seals, and that's it.
Yeah, and that's how you would get stuff like, oh, if you're doing Thanos, you got to make sure you include Lady Death and the part where he's lusting after her, and that's his whole motivation. And it's like, things like that would make the movie worse. It would be more accurate to like the source material, but the actual like film and the plot line and stuff would just be way worse for like no good reason at all. And it's like these they got to be able to like adapt these things and change the rules if they want to. Like if they fucking, I feel like so much of this, it goes back straight line to fucking Last Jedi. They're still upset that he decided you're able to like use a ship's hyperdrive to like fly into another ship, and that's like like that whole thing is just spun out into all of this. Breaks the canon
somehow to you.
Yeah, it ruins the whole series. It like why didn't Luke use the hyperdrive on his X-wing to just blow up the Death Star? And it's like,
look, why didn't anyone fly a fucking airplane into the Twin Towers before the fucking 9/11 happened?
Yeah, why?
Because nobody did it. Like,
yeah, because no one did it. No one was like so like in a position where they just wanted to suicide bomb it. Yeah. Or at least people aren't aware of it because communication's kind of spotty sometimes, especially in the sequels where no one knows about Luke Skywalker anymore. They just sort of don't know anymore.
Yeah, but, exactly.
Yeah, it's bizarre. I think it's just like such a horrible idea to me to like get fans to like check over every aspect of the script and stuff before the movie's out.
I just hope that it's like one of several voices and that it's like it can be ignored for the most part. Like,
yeah, hopefully, like, I mean, best case scenario, this is like a PR statement, and they're not like none of them are actually doing this at all. But
right,
yeah, it's like. If you want to do like a good franchise movie, I think you should get someone who cares and likes the source material to some degree, but they've got to be willing to take like the big swings and change things if it would be a better movie without these like aspects.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and they have to be willing to think what is going to make the best movie out of this material, not what is going to please fans or what is going to
I mean, like, imagine if like James Gunn was beholden to like how the Guardians of the Galaxy were in the comics at the time, and it's like no one cared about the Guardians. No one was like a huge Guardians fan except for like I guess people like James Gunn and I know like a few people were, but
there was a very good Guardians of the Galaxy run in like the early 2010s, maybe not 2010s, mid 2000s, I'd say. James Gunn took a lot of inspiration from, but he also changed a lot of things. So like like you have to be willing to make digressions or diversions away from the source material in order to make it palatable to movie audience.
Yeah, I mean, it's just you gotta do these things. So, I don't know. Imagine if I just for anything like going back all the way, like what if fucking Nosferatu had to be scene for scene Bram Stoker's Dracula or whatever? It would not work. These things, they would not come together at all.
Yeah.
Or like even like
between that
in Empire Strikes Back, like you got like a bunch of big Star Wars fans, and they were like, "No, Darth Vader's the most evil guy. You can't give him you can't make him related." Yeah.
Right.
And then it's like just these so many of the best like ideas and stuff from like franchise movies I think are from like when they take something and they sort of spin it on its head a bit, and people are often resistant to it, especially these days.
Right.
So.
Star Trek The Next Generation, one of the most like beloved nerd franchises from the 80s, was reviled upon initial like preview of it because people were like, I don't like this, where is Spock, where is Kirk, where is any of these like elements that I know, why is the captain bald, like so many dumb things that fans seize on and yet it then becomes iconic like after the fact. Like it just blew my mind. Like the Heath Ledger Joker, when that was first revealed that Heath Ledger was playing that role, people hated it.
Yeah, because he was known for like rom-coms and stuff like that, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it becomes like a huge thing, and like nobody can ever consider it otherwise.
Yeah.
It's just
And I mean, in response to Heath Ledger Joker, like the comics and stuff have changed, and it's been so influential on the character in like really positive ways.
Like, between this and like AI stuff, it just makes me kind of afraid of what where Hollywood is going.
Yeah, I mean the AI is just reading all the Reddit stuff too. So if it's just gonna create a script out of Reddit ideas and stuff like anyway. So it's gonna be, it's gonna.
But honestly,
it's gonna be awful. I hope
the Reddit stuff. I just feel like that we're already there because it felt like watching Deadpool and Wolverine. But that's a lot of what that movie was.
Maybe I really enjoyed that, but it was a lot of like, oh, this is what you do for the big fan service kind of moment, and that there are like 50 of those.
The Johnny Storm thing in Deadpool and Wolverine, I swear to God, I had read that on Reddit.
Oh,
I swear to God that somebody was like,
for years they were
you
like,
think it's going to be Captain America, but he goes flame on, and it's actually Johnny Storm.
Exactly. Like, that is a scene that's I've seen a million podcasts and stuff where that is their idea, and now it's just in one of these movies. And
like, I don't begrudge them the thing of like that's too good not to do, but like it just feels like I know exactly what's going to happen now.
Yeah, it makes the movie start to get really predictable, because it's like, oh, what is the thing that would be so epic right now? And it's like, yeah, it's gonna be this.
Right.
What if Blade walked in? Yeah. It would be so epic. So Blade comes in, and Blade is cool in that movie. I think he has some good lines and scenes. Yeah, but it's It's not a movie that's like, the movie is not pushing things forward the way that like the original Star Wars or Jaws or The Godfather or any other like classic great movie is. Like Deadpool 3 will not be remembered that way, and if their insistence is that every movie has to be a franchise movie, and also every franchise movie has to be like that, then like there's just never going to be another like massive game-changing movie again, I guess. Or once all these studios fail horribly, maybe they'll go back to like giving a big creator with a big dream, just give them a big budget. Maybe they'll go back to that and take more risks once all this stuff starts failing horribly. Because I think we might be on the edge of that. There's like, Disney increasingly across all their branches is making worse and worse decisions. Warner Brothers has been completely screwed for years. They've been like sold off.
David Zaslav,
yeah, him especially now. It's been pretty bad. And I mean, Sony I think is. They might only exist because they have like one or two people who come in from outside and like help them and stuff. And for Spider-Man, that's like Feige, and for I guess like that one Ghostbusters movie was successful, the first Afterlife one or whatever.
Barely.
Did well.
not even by a lot. But,
yeah, I don't know that it's. Sony is like a bizarre company, because I don't know how they continue to exist with the way that they're run and stuff. When you hear like, oh, how like Spider-Man 3 is completely like off the rails because fucking Avi Arad was insistent on Venom and stuff like that. It's just I don't know how these things stay and work for them for so long.
Yeah, it's pretty dark when you see into some of these things.
Yeah. I don't know. It's I think frankly we need to have a great conversation about the future of cinema. We need to be able to discuss what needs to happen. And
we need to have these discussions.
We need to have these discussions, and they're keeping us from discussing it. And if only we could discuss it, then all the movies would be great forever. Yeah,
exactly. All I want to do is simply debate.
Yeah.
My Emersonian mind has to be understood. Honestly, there's so many things in this movie that is going to be memed like constantly. I have to imagine.
There's so many great bits, like when she starts spitting out Marcus Aurelius quotes.
Yeah, that's all she does. She just quotes Marcus Aurelius like 4 times.
Her dad is like, she knows all of the quotes. Watch this, and then she quotes 3 Marcus Aurelius quotes. And one of them is in the dad's favor, and the other 2 are against him.
The other 2 are not.
Yeah, that establishes her allegiance, I guess. But it's
it's so funny.
It's very, it's a fantastic movie though, and I think it could actually heal the world and improve things greatly if everyone saw this. So I think it would actually have good consequences overall.
If only we could have a discussion, it would heal the world.
It's true. If only. Yeah, we'd all get in our Jurassic World balls and glide off to a better tomorrow.
Away.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Yeah. But any final thoughts here? Anything else we should discuss here?
I'm just glad that Francis Ford Coppola got to make a movie, even if he had to sell off his winery, and even if sometimes it does not look like it was made for $120 million. I'm very glad that this movie was made, and I look forward to revisiting it whenever I do.
Me too. I think I want to get like a 4K setup and stuff and just watch this on repeat, honestly. I want to keep seeing it and see if I can decipher the full message and get a better understanding of what he's trying to say here. And yeah, that's I guess that's it for us here. Do you have anything you want to plug today?
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter at TZARREVAN, and then on Letterboxd at Revan1138, I believe. REVAN1138.
All right. I believe so. And you can find my Letterboxd in the description and such. It'll be down there with my Twitter and my Discord server and whatnot. And yeah, thank you guys very much for watching.
All right, thank you.